Welcome to My Spoonie Sisters, featuring stories from special guests dedicated to empowering those with chronic illness. Our goal? To connect people and provide the support and tools they need to live a better life. For those with chronic illness, our energy levels just fade faster. We must be more purposeful with the spoons allotted to us. So grab your coffee or tea, sister, and tune in as My Spoonie Sisters share stories of living with chronic illness. Welcome, my lovely Spoonie sisters. It's your host, Gracefully Jen, here to introduce you to our amazing guest today. Kayla is a fellow Spoonie sister and author who's here to share her inspiring journey battling chronic conditions. Hi, Kayla. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me today.
It is my pleasure. So I want to kick things off a little bit. Could you share your diagnosis story? I don't even know where to begin with this. I figure I'm just going to let you tell us about you.
So I think a lot of people, unfortunately, can relate to this and that it wasn't an easy journey for me to get my diagnoses. I grew up with a mother who had a chronic condition, as well as an identical twin sister, who struggled. She was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and arthritis when we were very young in middle school. She had a lot of issues, but it wasn't until we were in sixth or seventh grade that she officially got the diagnosis for her. And I have had some issues. The older I get, the worse those issues have gotten. But I didn't want to feel like I was trying to compete with my sister because I saw how much she struggled. And it was like, she's going through all of this, what I'm experiencing is nothing. We got to make sure she's looked after, which I know if I had spoken up, like, they would have been able to support me, my sister and my mom, despite their own struggles. But that was something that I just had to work through. The older I got, the more issues I had with chronic fatigue. I really struggled with mental health and migraines and some GI stuff. I actually was in and out with a lot of feminine issues. I had some surgery to remove ovarian cysts, just real bad periods with my cycle, not always predictable, just kind of up and down, just all these different things. And I think that's something too, is because I had so many different things, when I would go to a doctor, it was hard to say, okay, this is one thing I need to focus on. And I think sometimes that can overwhelm the practitioner, and they're like, okay, this doesn't make sense for you to have so much going on. But I ended up finding an awesome OBGYN. I've had 4 experiences with physicians in the past, specifically OBGYNs. I've been told over the years that I should just try a keto diet, and then I would be fine. I should just lose weight and then everything would be fine. A lot of things focused on past experiences with mental health struggles such as depression and then my weight. And I, just felt very, once you're dismissed, in my case, it was very hard to say, no, I know my own body. I know my experiences. What my tired is not an average person's tired who does not experience chronic fatigue and chronic pain. I actually, this past year, I received the PCOS diagnosis from the wonderful OBGYN who I did some research on and connected with him, and he is absolutely fabulous. But actually, this past January, I ended up in the hospital. My pain was just so bad. And after the hospital trip, and when I went into the ER, the doctor on call, she looked at me and she said, "What autoimmune condition do you have?" And I was like, I don't have anything. I've got, my migraines, I have PCOS. And she was like, I can look at this screams autoimmune. And even though I got the hospital referral to follow up with a rheumatologist, everyone was like, it's going to be 9 to 12 months before we can see you. And
What?
yes, I was just like, oh my gosh. So I reached out to my OBGYN's office and I was like, can you help me? And I was in to see a rheumatologist within a month.
That is amazing. Hands down amazing, because that does not happen very often.
No, I was just, like I said, finding this doctor, it's just been phenomenal. Him and the whole office has just been really life changing for me. And then, he got me in because it's like this whole umbrella and they're all connected so they've all got the same system. So I went into the rheumatologist, which my OB actually ran some blood work before I went to the rheumatologist. So there was like some base stuff. We ruled out my mom, she has lupus, but they ruled that out. But there were some other indicators with my blood work that, yeah, there's autoimmune going on. And I've had ups and downs with psoriasis since adolescence myself. And with the pain flared up, especially wrist, shoulder, like just can't, and like it would go up and it was inflamed and it's like going up from my shoulder into my neck, and it's just that that was what it was so bad in January. But the rheumatologist, he was like, okay, this is what we've got. We're going to do here's your treatment plan. We're going to try Humira. And I was like, whoa. My sister took that over 10 years ago, and that was just scarring, traumatizing for me to watch her have to do that, and then for her to experience that. But they've changed that, and he said, and he wasn't like, this is what we're going to do, which I appreciate. He was like, he explained to me that the medication is different than it used to be, and he was like, based on blood work, your symptoms, everything, this is what I think is best. And there was a couple other options, but me and my husband, we want to have children, and he said, this would be a category or a class that would be okay if we move forward with family planning, and we wouldn't have to like necessarily change later down the road. But I've got to say, I am a completely different person right now, November 2023, than I was January 2023.
So in January, did you get an actual diagnosis, or did they kind of have to run through it a little bit?
So we ran through it a little bit, but the first time I went in to see the rheumatologist, he was like, psoriatic arthritis. I'm like 99% sure what it is. We're going to try the Humira, and I'm doing it twice a week. And just my quality of life has improved so much. And I can tell when it's close, like that close couple of days, I can like, okay, I'm starting to feel it. Like it's shot day. Like I don't even have to double check the calendar. Like, I mean, of course I do, but I just know I can feel it. And so, when I did my follow up with him after my first month of using it, so 2 doses, he was like, yeah, he's like, this is good. So I'm happy with it. But in between that diagnosis, I also had, with all the GI stuff going on, I got a scope and they diagnosed me with the EOE, Eon Sophaliphic Esophagitis.
Okay.
And basically it affects it's esophagitis that's triggered with, it's like an immunoresponse allergy with allergies.
Yeah.
So I'm working with a nutritionist who's great, but it's like trying to figure out things to stay away from. And for me, that's been very challenging because dairy is one of my allergies. And for someone who like grew up with, in the South, with milk and butter and everything, it's like changing everything.
Those are main ingredients in all the dishes.
Right? But I think sometimes, even though it's big, because, that's it's a key ingredient. Those are staples you keep in your fridge. Um, just, it's a big thing, but it's a little thing too. Like just making this shift and like the impact it has, and it's not, that's not to say that I'm every day I'm pain free and I never have any flares or any issues, but I guess it's just, especially with how bad I was earlier this year, with just everything culminating together. The EOE, I actually ended up recently just having my gallbladder out because I had gallstones on top of everything else. It was just
Oh my gosh. Are you sure we're not related somehow?
so, but it just, I remember there were several days where it just was like, almost, I don't want to say that I was hopeless, but I kind of was. It was like, it was hard to stay, it was hard to stay positive. There were days that I wasn't positive. There were days I know that I, when you hurt, when you are in pain, it impacts your whole demeanor. And sometimes it's really difficult not to let it just become overwhelming. And I'm just very thankful um, for being able to find, I'm very thankful for having a good support system with my husband and my family. And I've got, a couple of friends that I'm able to talk through difficult times with. But with that support system, I'm so thankful finally finding good medical care. I still, not everybody I have seen in the last year has been a good fit for me, but finding my rheumatologist and my OB that put me in touch with a lot of people has just been wonderful. And I'm so thankful for that. And I'm thankful that I found my voice, so to speak. I'm not thankful that I got so bad that I was like, I've got to go to the hospital with this pain. I just can't. But it was finally, I guess, at my breaking point that I realized I was going to have to not just pursue answers, but when someone says no, you just need to lose weight or you just need to try to, be more positive. Have you tried feeling better? It was, I've got to just focus on a couple things and start, taking away with some answers. And
Well,
so,
and to go with what you're saying, at the end of the day, not everything is weight related or diet related. It's just not. And
mm,
and I think that's what's so aggravating to so many of us is we go to the doctor and depending on who you're seeing, that sometimes that's their response is, what are you eating? What are you drinking? Oh, well, you need to lose weight. And that's just not the answer. It's just
mhm,
not. And they needed to look at us as a whole and stop being so lazy. I think that's what it is. Some of the times they're just lazy. They just want to get to the next person. And so when we find these amazing practitioners out there, man, it's like we got to share them. We got to share them with everyone and let everyone know this is where you need to go.
mhm.
Sorry, I had a
Yeah,
little tangent there.
Facebook and Google, and I'm like, they're awesome. Like, you've got, and, people have, talking with like coworkers and stuff, because that's been something really challenging too, especially since January. I work in the school system and it's hard not to, for me to beat myself up when I have doctor's appointments or I, was in a real bad flare and I just couldn't. And, but I've got a really good team who work to make sure that my school babies were taken care of. But like when if I would talk to somebody, they would share something, maybe a family member. I was like, oh, this is who I would recommend. The rheumatologist, they should call and see if they can, there is a wait list, but it was like, see, you know, if they've got someone currently, get on the wait list because I think it's going to make a difference. It did for me.
So are you familiar with the term spoonie?
I am. My sister actually first introduced the term having spoons and
Okay.
to me. I don't. It's been a while now, but she would say, I just don't have enough spoons for that, and it's just a
Absolutely.
really. I love that imagery, and it really helps, you know, be able to express and like visualize, and then for other people to understand too. Like when
Absolutely. So what would be your 5 must-haves in your spoonie toolkit? Calling all spoonies. As a host of a chronic illness podcast, nothing lights up my day more than hearing from you, our incredible listeners. Whether it's a topic close to your heart that you want us to uncover, or you are keen to show your own journey as a guest on our show, your voice matters. Living with chronic illness can often feel isolating, but through the power of podcasting, we can come together as a community to uplift, educate, and inspire one another. Your stories, insights, and questions drive the conversations we have and the topics we explore. So if there's something on your mind, a story that you are just itching to share, or a guest you'd love to hear from, don't hesitate to reach out. Your voice is not only welcomed here, but celebrated. Let's continue to amplify the voices of those living with chronic illnesses and create a space where everyone feels heard, supported, and empowered. Together, we are stronger.
So like with ups and downs, so I guess one thing is not how to word it. So you've got to be open to saying this is my boundary, that I need help. I'm someone who want to I don't want someone to feel like I don't have it under control. I want to be self-sufficient. I want to get it done. But I'm going to if you push yourself too much, even when you're like, oh, I've got a burst of energy, I'm feeling really great. If you don't set that boundary and ask for help, you're going to burn out. You're going to run out of spoons. You're going to not be able to do anything. So you've got to pace yourself. So I guess that was a long thing. But I guess for one of the must haves is being willing to ask for help. Um, as far as something more related to my chronic condition, an ice pack is a must have. I know that's a little bit more like concrete, but I've got a rotation. I've got ice packs that have straps that will stay so I can put ice packs on. And I also have a multitude of different heating pads for whatever I need at the time. And I've got a drawer underneath my bed for heating pads that I can just pull out. I've got one that's especially for my back and shoulder. And before my mom told me that existed, I didn't know. So I think something else you've got to do is ask questions. And also, we have so much available to us online. Like, go to ask Google, ask Alexa, ask Siri, ask, real people, but also use technology tools to find things. My Alexa's talking to me now. But,
I know, I was waiting for mine to go off.
she's like, I don't know what to help you anyway. But yeah, like there are things that exist today that can help you cope and feel better with your chronic pain that didn't exist 5-10 years ago. Um, like keyboards, ergonomic keyboards, because I've got a lot of problem with my wrist and the mouse. Using that makes such a huge difference.
I agree.
Just with its design, and it's something that I wouldn't have thought of on my own until it's like, what's something that could help, and then it's like you just Google, tools for wrist pain, and you click through, and then it's like, if you're working on a computer, and then you're like, oh, look at these. So that's something else in your toolkit is a research mentality too. Like you want to you know, look up and see what's out there. Cause like I'm still finding stuff. My sister will send me stuff and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like kitchen tools that are easy on your wrist. And my mom, she got us a can opener and on top it's got this like rubber thing and it makes opening jars so easy.
That's wonderful. I have an ongoing Amazon list and I just keep adding to it. And then every time I finally decide I have to have this, I finally buy it. But I have two different lists, one for me to get it for me, and then one so I can share it to all my Spoonie friends and say, okay, you got to go get this.
That's awesome. I love that you've got the list to share with others. Like, here's some, great things to try. That's awesome. I wish there was like a collaborative, like anyone that found anything could just like go almost like a Wikipedia page and you could just go like, what I'm saying? Like there would be a hub that Spoonies could just like contribute things that have been useful and then
Like
other
an
people go,
yeah, like an ongoing Google Doc.
yeah,
Maybe that's something we need to do.
yeah, I'm in game for it. Yeah.
That would be fun. Okay, so we were talking about your Spoonie toolkit. I'm trying to think. Did you name more than three, or did I stop counting?
I was talking a mile a minute. So we had, heating pads and ice packs. We had the having the mindset to ask for help.
Yep.
We also said having the drive for research. So three. So I need three, right? That was three.
Okay, so two more.
Two more. I think you've got to have one person, at least one person. If you have more, great, but at least one person that you feel comfortable with being honest. But also that person, the same in that, someone that you're honest with, but also someone that's going to listen to you. They're going to validate your experience, but they're also not going to let you wallow. So finding somebody in your corner that is going to support you and again validate your experiences without letting you sink into crossing that line between processing what you're dealing with and then letting it becoming overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure you're not letting it overwhelm you and keep you down. So definitely having at least one person to talk to in that way is a must have.
I agree.
But then, even having that one person to really talk to, you also need a community. Like, everybody, you and me, we have a lot of similar experiences. We can help each other, just like everyone listening in, even though everyone's story is a little bit different, there's a lot of similarities. And there could be something that some part of my story that resonates with somebody else. We can all share our stories and work together. There are, Facebook groups. I'm in one group where they share tips every Tuesday for, your mindset and also dealing with physical pain with chronic illness. So,
I love that.
yeah, yeah, it's that Facebook group. It's an author, Leslie Hope Amid the Pain. She's actually got a devotional um, that goes through. It's designed for women that deal with chronic illness and chronic pain. I actually got it sitting on my nightstand. It's my next one I'm going to start. But
What is
she's
the name
got
of it again?
Hope Amid the Pain.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna make sure we link that.
So yeah, and she's got the Facebook group. Um, and it's just really good. So yeah, 4 and 5 is have in your toolkit, have someone you can talk with and that's going to support you, and then also you need your community, and you need to we're all here to help each other. And, even if you don't feel like you're at a point where you can pour into the community, don't be afraid to reach out, because they're going to pour into you. And then when you're able, you can pass that on and pour into someone else.
I think that's a really good point, because we're not always going to have the capacity or be in the place to be able to give of ourselves. We might be sick, we might be going through a flare, whatever it is, but we got to remember that people want to pour into us just as much. And so
Hmm.
we've got to be willing to accept that and get to know people in the community.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes we feel like we don't need grace. And so we're like, oh, I can't ask, for help or someone to extend grace to me. But if it was reversed, most of us would offer those things we're denying ourselves to somebody else struggling. So when we don't have 100% that day, or even 20%, we can, rely on our support system and our community.
Well said. So some of the questions I want to ask you, I feel like we kind of covered that without even having to be asking you. So, which is great. I mean, you just have all the great information. Um, so we're always looking for great resources. Can you recommend 3 resources, whether they be an account you love to follow, an article, a blog, just anything that you feel like fills your cup?
So yeah, I for me, I get a lot of energy from like some downtime reading. I always have multiple books going, and one of them is always a devotional. And I'm reading one devotional now, the other 316s, and that devotional is going through the chapter 3, verse 16s, and all throughout the Bible. So that one, I'm very much enjoying it. And then the next one that I'll be going into is Hope Amid the Pain, by Leslie McKee, who wrote that for women with chronic illness and chronic pain. And it's the devotional. There's also like an area to like respond to with some prompts and stuff. So I'm really excited. And with that, I think that's important. For me, my faith has been very vital, for me through this journey. And I think it's important for people to see what's important to them, and to give themselves a time to recharge. I think the devotional and prayer, has really, that helps me day to day. Um, And so yeah, resources. I definitely am excited to dive into the devotional Hope Amid the Pain, for specifically women dealing with chronic pain, chronic illness. I also, one thing and I mentioned before that she's got the Facebook group, which is real great for support and community. I really do think social media has a lot of benefits in that you can find people with shared experiences or similar experiences. Um, one person, another author that I know, her name is Daphne Self. She, her books don't necessarily focus on chronic illness and chronic pain. I recently read her book When Legends Rise. It's a science fiction novel. It's very good, but she's also on her platform is very open, with her Instagram account. She's very open with her author platform, with her day to day life with chronic illness and chronic pain. And she's very inspiring, because I'm an author too, and some days when I'm really struggling, um, I see, even if she's not writing every day, she shares what she's doing, and it inspires me that even though I can't go, 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 go and do everything I want to do when I want to do it, the only free timeline is what I put on myself. And so I definitely recommend, people to check out Daphne, she's Daphne Self, author Daphne Self on Instagram. And, find other people, other um, profiles and pages that will have that open dialogue. Because, on one hand with social media, and I'm guilty of this on my personal page, you show the highlight reel. And it's not relatable, really. It's not,
Mhm.
it's, it's likes and Smith bombs and, you know, there's a place for that, because, you do have good moments, but it's nice to have a candid, open conversation about struggles and everything else, especially with that added layer of chronic pain and chronic illness. Um,
Okay, so I want to dive in. You're an author. I'd love for you to tell us what you write about, and just let's talk about that.
yeah, so I actually have a blog and a website. It's The Unicorn Writer. Um, and I share um, book reviews and author interviews and stuff mostly on the blog, but I also have information about my own writing, my own book. Um, I do have an award-winning novella. I write fantasy, um, geared towards young adult, middle grade audience, but it's also written um, with some universal truth that I think older readers will appreciate as well. Um, the the book that I'm currently on, the manuscript I'm currently working on, I'll be going through this book. It's a duology. It's about two sisters, and book one is The Goodness of Unicorns, and it will be published with Ambassador International in the near future. But I'm really diving in with those characters, the idea of family. We're looking at chronic pain and the idea of ability and disability and how that impacts yourself and how others perceive you. Um, the two primary characters in this, and it is geared towards young adult fantasy. We have Rowan and we have Blythe, and Rowan won't find, she's on a mission to find a cure for her young sister Blythe, who has been, you know, she got sick and nobody knows why or how, but she, struggles with walking, and where it's the fictional fantasy world, they don't have the vocabulary we would use in today's language. But Rowan being, you know, barely 16, she's like, okay, she's not always been like this, so I'm gonna find a cure. And Blythe on, her hand, because it is dual POV, on one hand, she's like, okay, I've not always been like this. So I want a cure, I want to be quote unquote sick. But with this, they're going through their own journeys. Blythe realizes, and Rowan has to realize too, that just because Blythe struggles with pain and with her mobility, that doesn't make her any less than she was before. And it's their, sister relationship and just looking at this. And there is, you know, with the plot, there is a larger piece where, Rowan, um, she's been afflicted with what is called the size and consistency into people's souls and like their heart and their memories. And she can actually, what she does is so she can see the light and darkness in oneself. And so the king like summons her away um, because he wants to use this ability for political gain. So that's going on. Why we've got this, these personal journeys that Rowan and Blythe are going on to, because I want working in the school system, and I have worked, from high school, middle, and now with elementary students. I want young readers, whether they are someone who is experiencing chronic pain themselves or watching somebody go through these struggles, I want them to be able to find a book and be reaffirmed, or get that reassurance that it doesn't matter if you struggle, if you have this pain, if it does impact you, you're not any less. You still matter. And, you matter. Those you love dealing with this, they still matter. They may not can do it the same way you can, or you may not can do it the way somebody else can. But, it's going to be okay even on the days you don't see.
I think it's beautiful.
So,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm over here, I have the Instagram open and I'm looking at these pretty covers and they're beautiful.
And so, yeah, I've not been super active on Instagram. Mostly I put a lot more time into the blog, but I'm hoping to get back on Instagram. There was a while I was doing it a lot, but so you've only got so many spoons.
Well, exactly. You've got to kind of pick and choose where you want to spend those spoons, and you can't do them in all the places all the time. So, and really, you're trying to get these beautiful books written, and so your spoons are probably better allotted there anyway. Taking the time to share with us today. Is there anything that we didn't talk about you think we need to make sure we add in before we're done?
So I just want other spoonies that are listening to, remember to advocate for themselves and be okay with asking for help. And, it, again, like I said, even when it doesn't feel like it's going to be okay, it really is going to be okay. And
yeah, find your new normal. That's okay.
Oh, it's not your new normal.
All right. Well, thank you for joining. It was such a pleasure having you on here. And all right, my Spoonie sisters, until next time, don't forget your spoon.
The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. The information should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, professional advice, diagnoses, or medical intervention. My Spoonie sisters and guests will not be held liable for any of the consequences of such action or inaction. Trigger warning. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, mental illness, and chronic disease. You are advised to refrain from listening if you are likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. None of the guests or hosts will be responsible for your use of the information contained therein. Life is not merely to be alive, but to be well. Living a life with a chronic illness is best described with one word: unpredictable. Be Well's products are designed to make the unpredictable easier to deal with. Back when I was getting my infusions, I would have loved to have their adult zip hoodie. They even have one in pink. They also have everything from one-day pill holders to urgency buckets. So remember, they want to make your life a little easier. So be sure to check out Be Well.